easy to send, easy to share, while protecting your privacy fully, just like an email address.
Traveling to a restrictive country with internet censorship? A VPN is the answer. And surf the internet with no restrictions.
The Keystone wallet is the wallet that you want to be using to keep your crypto safe. Whether you are a Bitcoin maxi or an altcoin lover, it is perfect for you. Easy to use, 3 secure elements, and integrates easily with MetaMask, Kepler, and dozens of other extension wallets. Get one now to keep your crypto safe and secure. Go to bit.ly/CryptoRichKeystone. This is an audio recording of an X Space courtesy of thecoinrepublic.com, the go-to place where you can keep up to date with what's happening in the crypto space. It is Saturday, the 6th of September at noon. Welcome to this X Space with Firo. My name is Crypto Rich and I am going to be hosting this X Space courtesy of the Coin Republic. Now, normally I do these at 5 o'clock on a Saturday. Occasionally I do these at 5 p.m. on a Wednesday. So if you're not already following the Coin Republic, please do so. You can find their website, thecoinrepublic.com. And the Coin Republic is a crypto news website, the place to go to find out about what's going on in the world of crypto. They will be doing a feature on Firo at some point soon. So if you are one of the Firo community, then definitely you should follow the Coin Republic. You should also follow me, and I will be featuring this X Space on my channels. You can find me on YouTube, Crypto Rich or Crypto Rich BTC. I'm also on ODYSEE, Rumble, FreeSpeak, BitChute, Podbean, and Brighteon. And I prefer it if you follow me on those channels because those are censorship resistant rather than YouTube. And of course, you can follow me on X if you're not already doing so. You must know by now, and this is a very, very important reminder, nothing that I say in this X Space or in any of my videos ever should be taken as investment advice. Do not sell all your worldly goods, your children, your husband, your wife, your cars, your bicycles, your house, all your clothes in order to invest in this or any other crypto project, or really any other investment that you ever hear anybody talking about. You and you alone are responsible for any financial decisions that you make. Ruben, would you like to come off mute and introduce yourself, please?
Sure, just checking whether everyone can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you.
Great, yeah. So my name is Ruben. I am the co-founder and project steward of Firo. I've been in cryptocurrencies, I guess, since like 2012, 2013, so quite a long time. I joined Firo in around 2016, and I actually come from a legal background, so I was a lawyer for 10 years before going full-time into basically promoting and developing privacy protocols and projects. So yeah, it's my full-time job. It's something I'm really passionate about and something that I feel very personally about, given that I've been the subject of I would say unfair censorship and unfair payment practices that really drove me to look into privacy cryptocurrency, and it's been my full-time job ever since.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Firo, it's so good to talk to you. You and I spoke, I think, a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's good to talk to you again because I think we suggested, we should do this more often, and then of course it never happened.
Well, thanks for adjusting your time. I mean, I know it's it's not your usual time, so I really appreciate you making this possible. Yeah.
Yes, well, it's great to have you on. And one of the great things about Firo, and many people may not know this, but it does have a long history, really long in crypto terms, because it used to be Zcoin, and it's changed its name to Firo, and it's got all sorts of developments since. And we'll get into that in a moment. But tell me, you were a lawyer. I didn't know that. And then you said something about how you've been censored. Do you mind sharing about what kind of law you practice just very quickly, and then how your own experiences of censorship?
Sure. So I was a lawyer in Malaysia. I became partner to the law firm eventually, but I did a lot of corporate work. But in my last couple of years, I did a lot of work for government advisory and consultancy. So I was helping them to look into how their laws were structured, where the weaknesses were, and helping them to make recommendations how to improve their processes and enforcement for law. So it's quite an interesting pivot to now be into like privacy cryptocurrencies, right?
It is indeed.
Yeah, and basically how I got censored was basically in 2007 I started a VPN business. It's called Bole VPN, and back then it was actually the main reason why. Well, first of all, I just wanted to watch my anime, and then the government kept on like blocking down all the torrent sites and all sorts of access to this anime. So I actually, while I was chambering as a lawyer, I just started a VPN business mainly just to share the cost of setting up a server and all of that, and it grew pretty big. We had like thousands and thousands of users. I think we were rated as one of the top VPN services by Lifehacker. I forgot what year exactly, but we did pretty well. But back then, VPNs were considered the same as what privacy coins were considered today. Like, why would you need to use a VPN? You must be doing something nefarious, right? And because of that, my local bank cut off even though the credit cards, they cut off my ability to receive payments. They said they were not comfortable with the business, even though it was not illegal to do it. It was totally like, yeah, people just say, why would you need to use a VPN? And they were not comfortable with it. Some of the banks even like terminated my business bank account. PayPal froze my account several times on top of charging very, very, very high fees. It was like 3.4% and then 50 cents on top of it. And then when your like ticket price, like for a 7-day plan that back then was like $370 50 cents, and then you eat the 2.4%, then you hit the conversion charges. It's just like a whole chunk of it just went to this PayPal and a bunch of payment processors, right? So it made me think like, what the heck? I'm not doing anything illegal. I was protecting privacy. I'm using the same tech that companies use to protect their communications. Why is this illegal? And basically that made me. Someone then suggested like, hey, why don't you take a look into Bitcoin? And back then, this was like 2012, 2013. Most people thought Bitcoin was private. Obviously, now we know better, but obviously, we quickly realized the privacy limitations of Bitcoin, and with the advent of Ethereum, I think it's got even worse now when people don't even switch addresses and they just hold their assets in one address typically. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
So, Ruben, that's an extraordinary story, and there's a few things. One is it's really, really important for people to use a VPN. Really, really important to use a VPN. And if you're familiar with crypto, I recommend sentinel.co because they offer decentralized VPNs, and you can pay with fiat or pay with various cryptos, including a particular privacy cryptocurrency, which I'm not going to mention because it's not Firo. And they also have versions that work on iOS and Apple, which is iOS, Android, and the desktop versions as well. And they've been guests on this channel, on this X Space.
You're Pirate Chain, right?
I didn't say Pirate Chain. Pirate Chain have been a guest on this X Space as well. But Sentinel, the DVPN, decentralized VPN service, which is much harder to capture. Okay, and then if those of you that don't want to use a DVPN, well, get a centralized VPN anyway. You must be aware of what's going on in the UK in terms of online speech, and in Europe in general. Like, for example, people in France cannot access Rumble. You have to use a VPN if you're in France. And people in Britain cannot access BitChute. You have to use a VPN. And the other thing, if you're using crypto, what a VPN does is it encrypts the traffic that goes in and out of your computer, so nobody can sort of hack into the information that you're sending. So it is important to use a VPN. But what you're talking about, or what you're pointing to, is something that's really, really important, and I think getting really, really increasingly more important, and that's the importance of privacy. But, Ruben, obviously, if you want privacy, it's only because you're a criminal and you're up to no good. So what do you say to that argument?
We try to make proper distinctions based on actual data, right? And the data that is, done by all these law enforcement, blockchain analysis, many of the companies have done analysis. And if you want to say, oh yeah, criminals are the only ones using privacy coins, most of the stuff that is illegal. Well, of all the illicit crime, only for privacy coins only consists of about around 1% or less of the entire use of illicit cryptocurrencies for illicit purposes. The vast majority of them would be stable coins, Tron or USDT on Tron. And it goes to show that, criminals don't necessarily use what's the best privacy tool. They use what they can move, what is the most liquid, and to kind of paint that to say like, oh yeah, privacy coins for nefarious users. The data doesn't show that, right? The data mainly shows that yes, privacy coins, yes, there is some illicit use, as with anything, as with even transparent chains, as with even Bitcoin or Ethereum, but for the most part, it's a very, very small part of it, right? And I guess I feel that, well, first of all, I think, there's no, it's easy to come and say like, oh, the governments just want to shut us down because, they're all evil people, they want to control. Maybe that's one of reason of it, but for the true reasons, it's generally multifactorial, right? And I guess one of it may be because regulators just want to be seen to be doing something, and privacy coins are kind of like low-hanging fruit, while they are not really. A lot of the legislation that you see, even with the French legislation that has banned privacy coins, or even with MiCA, the Market and Crypto Assets Act in Europe, they make a very strong, weird distinction to say that we will prevent coins with inbuilt anonymization from listing on any Europe exchange, which is a very weird distinction, because that means, well, okay, if I use something like Tornado Cash or Railgun or privacy pools or all of that, that doesn't apply because it's not inbuilt. But why would you make that kind of artificial distinction, right? So it just kind of goes to show that, sometimes regulators just want to be seen as doing something. Yes, maybe part of it, they are various competing interests. Some of them want to push their own CBDCs. Some of them, they just believe in a surveillance state that the government should have, insight into every single movement, and privacy coins paint the threat to that. But the real threat is not quite there, and by banning it, you actually probably make it more dangerous, because if you ban, let's say if all your privacy coins are on, regulated exchanges, they have KYC and whatnot, they can still do controls. There's a very long legal opinion from what's this called, Perkins Coie, which is a top law firm, and they showed that yeah, you can still do risk scoring. You can see, oh, where's this large amount of money that comes in first. You can do all of this. You don't really need to just have everything on chain, because the centralized exchange has your data. But now you're pushing it off centralized exchanges. You're pushing the liquidity off more into decentralized options or offshore locations. You, as the regulator, totally lose sight of that. So, and I mean, yeah. So yeah. I guess I'll stop there.
Yes. Well, but there's something else before that. So one, making privacy coins or making privacy illegal, because that's what you're doing. You're making privacy coins illegal. It ain't going to work. It just isn't going to work, right? How can you make something that's so obscure? Or maybe I've got this wrong, because murder is illegal and murder never happens. In many countries, taking marijuana is illegal, and obviously no one ever takes marijuana in those countries. And then I'm a child protection social worker, and child abuse is illegal. And now the government have made it illegal. Obviously, that never happens. I am, of course, joking. But before all that, Firo, before the private Firo, Ruben, before the privacy cryptos, why is privacy important?
I would say, I mean, there are many answers to this, but the way I see privacy, at least, I mean, one of the biggest angles for me, it's a balance between the state and the citizen. And if we have no individual privacy, and the government or big companies can see everything that we're doing, basically, we kind of lose our independence. We can be targeted for what we like, right? And it basically cracks down on how we would think. Like the way that we think the way that we express ourselves to the public is very different than what we may think privately. And it's, people might say, yes, it's a basic human right and whatnot. Some would argue that it's not a human right. But I would say that if you exist in a state without that doesn't allow or disallows privacy, you basically the state is supposed to help and protect and represent the interests of the people, not about going back to a monarchy or a dictatorship where it's all about remaining in power and controlling people. And I think privacy is a huge empowerment for that. Obviously, freedom of speech and all these other things. But yes, that's one thing. Obviously, there's also like corporate reasons, right? I don't want people to know how much I'm paying my staff, or whether I'm buying some medication that, maybe I have erectile dysfunction, right? These things are not illegal, but I don't want people to know, right? And I do think that we should have the right to do that as long as it's not anything illegal. And I guess the way that I see it is that, sure, of course you can say, if we have less privacy, it will protect more people. But it's all about whether it's commensurate with the risk, right? Like if I say that, oh yes, I could fall down in the toilet and hit my head. Right, yes, sure. Now should we install a CCTV in every toilet? And now, would you give that up? It's the same thing, right? There is illicit activity, there is a risk, but it has to be commensurate to the problem they're trying to solve. And I don't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point, because one way, the way that this argument could go, like child abuse is really, really bad. Nobody wants children being abused. Therefore, what we're going to do, we're going to install CCTV in every single household, in every single room. We need to do that in order to stop child abuse. That's just horrific overreach, because without privacy, there's no freedom. There's no creativity.
Well, guess what? It's happening in the US, this exact thing. You notice all the new legislation that is against privacy, they always talk about protection of children.
Yeah.
Because it makes it politically difficult to defend, to say, I'm against the child protection. And they're like, oh, all right. You want children to be exploited. When, if you take a look, those provisions to protect children ostensibly requires, provide social media providers to log every single and monitor all the communications, disable encryption, basically giving government a backdoor. So it's very, there's a lot of legislation that's being, fought and trying to get in all the time. It's always, a couch as, protecting children, protecting youths, protecting against, sexual abuse and stuff like that. But I don't really buy that. That's the main thing, and yeah.
There's something else that occurred to me listening to you, Ruben, is that privacy helps us maintain our sovereignty. Now, if you're still in Malaysia, Malaysia was a British colony, so its legal tradition is probably based upon English common law, and English common law has a principle of sovereignty, that I'm sovereign. I'm sovereign over myself, over my actions, over my property, over my speech. And privacy allows for sovereignty. And without privacy, there's no sovereignty, because I'm forever being surveilled. And then there's I'm at risk of being taken advantage of. All these people that want to get rid of our privacy, well, they want to maintain their own privacy. They want digital IDs for us, but not so they can keep a tab on us, but not for us to have digital IDs so we can keep a tab on them. Yes, which is where privacy cryptocurrencies like Firo come in. Anything you want to say about that, or you just want to take it and start telling us about Firo?
Yeah, no, I'm happy. For me, it's just like, it's just so obvious, but yeah, I understand that. I don't know. I hope that everyone who listens to this is already aware of the importance of privacy, but it's quite surprising, because even when I go to crypto conferences, they're like, oh, you're the privacy coin guy. You must be, laundering a bunch of money and all this sort of stuff, which is horrible. I thought crypto natives, especially, given the cypherpunk movement that gave birth to cryptocurrency in the first place, it would be more understandable, right? But
yes.
Hey, we have people like Michael Saylor and saying that privacy is bad and all these things. So yeah, it's kind of ironic to show to see that the people that are championing Bitcoin are talking about, oh, you shouldn't self custody, you should give up privacy, and it's just like, what has our market come to, right? What has our industry come to? But yeah.
Yes. Well, what you should do with all those crypto people that they say, oh, you're a privacy of crypto, how bad? You should ask them for their email address and the password of their email address, and then see how quickly they give that to you or not. Because they wouldn't give you your password. You're not having my password for my email. You're not having my bank account access details. That's where privacy comes in. When I go to the bathroom, I don't leave the door wide open, because this is where privacy is important. Okay, so let's move on to by the way, it's great having this philosophical discussion with you. At least great for me, and I hope for people that are watching or listening that this is useful for them as well.
I would like to make one distinction, is that a lot of people are comfortable with giving up financial privacy is because they believe like, oh yeah, I use credit cards, I use, digital payment platforms, I'm already giving up my privacy to companies, credit card companies and banks and all of that. Why should it be different to cryptocurrencies? Well, first of all, it's quite bad that already happens, right? But the thing is that blockchain, cryptocurrencies are even worse. That information doesn't just sit in the credit card company or a bank, which still supposedly should have some laws to prevent the leakage of your information. Transactions on the blockchain are public to everyone and are there forever. So it's actually worse. Like if I use a credit card, sure, maybe the credit card company gets it, the merchant maybe gets some information, but very limited. And yeah, maybe, it's only them, right? But when I'm paying using something like Ethereum, the whole world knows, right? You just need to look up at the address, or you pay. Let's say, like, you ask me to pay something, I pay you, and straight away I look at the address that you paid me from, like, oh, this guy's a millionaire. Maybe I should kidnap him, right? So, to me, people who say, cryptocurrency privacy is a bigger problem. And actually, if you take a look what Vitalik has been talking recently, he's been saying, there should be some sort of base level of privacy. So it'd be really interesting if Ethereum has some sort of base level of privacy, and then what's all this regulation going to be about? Like, oh, it has inbuilt anonymization now. Should we ban Ethereum now?
But it might even be like, for example, if I'm doing some contracting work for you, there you are as a lawyer, and I don't know, I'm doing some PR work for you or something, right? Or I'm a copywriter, and you pay me with Ethereum or Bitcoin, and then I check the transaction ID, I see the wallet that you've sent me the Ethereum from, and I say, oh, I'm undercharging Ruben. He's got a whole lot more. So then I up my rates. Or a competitor looks and says, can see, okay, Ruben, you paid Crypto Rich this much, I'll do it for less. That sort of stuff where privacy is really important. I do want to move on to Firo. So give us a little history, a short history of Firo and how it was Zcoin and how Zcoin started and why it changed from Zcoin.
Yeah, so Zcoin actually launched its mainnet in 2016. It was founded by this guy called Parman Insom, and he was a master student at Johns Hopkins University under Matthew Green, who was, I guess, who was the author of the paper of Zerocoin, and also was one of the founding scientists of Zcash. And basically, Parman saw this thing, was like, wow, this is really cool tech. Zerocoin was that kind of first type of zero knowledge proof based privacy. Previous kind of privacy relied on like things like ring signatures, decoys, and stuff like that. But Zerocoin was it gave really, really high privacy compared to anything back then. Mm-hmm. So he decided to integrate it into a cryptocurrency called Zcoin, and why Zcoin is because it's named after Zero Coin. And we had some funding from Roger Ver and a couple of other angel investors. And since then, we've been really building, changing, and upgrading our privacy protocol. We've been actually doing this is actually really rare in the cryptocurrency space, where we actually build our own privacy protocols. It's not like, oh, I'm adopting something from Monero, I'm adopting something from Zcash, or this is something that we created ourselves. So we've been reiterating on our privacy protocol. At least from Zerocoin to Sigma, from Sigma to Lelantus, and from Lelantus now to Lelantus Spark. So we've gone through 4 different iterations of privacy, and I guess we're really passionate about that. But we've also been, I think we're probably the only cryptocurrency that has private instant transactions where our transactions are almost instant. That means even before one confirmation, it's secure. And once it hits one confirmation, it's final. You don't have to worry about reordering and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, you've seen the recent issues with Monero and things like that. So,
Yes.
I guess that's some of the
That's
few things that we did. And now we're moving to having asset support, which means that people can create their own assets. It's kind of like a privacy ERC20, right? And the best thing is that.
Hold on a second, please. Ruth.
Yeah, okay. Right.
Because I want to pick into what you're saying. Yeah. Because what you're saying is very, very interesting. And just so I understand it and other people here understand it, that it's the thing that's one of the things that struck me is that it's instant, almost instant. Because you've already mentioned it, Pirate Chain. Pirate Chain is fast. It's fast. Couple of minutes, confirmation. Bitcoin can take up to half an hour. Ethereum, Ethereum, who knows? Well, it's pretty good nowadays, right? But in the olden days, I remember in 2017 in the CryptoKitty phase, oh my God, and the gas fees. And Monero can take a while for a transaction to confirm because of its particular privacy protocol. But that Firo does it almost instantly is incredible, because then it makes it viable in terms of retail use.
Yes.
If I'm going to go and buy a coffee, I don't have to hang around for half an hour for the payment to go through. So I just wanted to comment on that. That's extraordinary. The other thing that I think is extraordinary is how, so when you've developed your own privacy protocol, but then adopted it or gone through different iterations, and I assume each one is an advance on previous ones and is way more private and secure than the previous ones.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So so the one that you've got right now, what are the qualities of it? Not necessarily how it works. I don't think I'll understand that. But what's so special about this particular one that you're using now, and what is it called, this particular protocol?
The current one that we're using is called Lelantus Spark, or sometimes people just call it Spark. And one of the really cool things is that, first of all, it has very, very high anonymity sets. I would say, well, not in the range of Zcash yet, which actually is coming, which we can talk about later. But it's in, like, compared to something like Monero, which is like ring size of 16, we are getting like, ring size of 32,000 or 64,000. I wouldn't call rings even an accurate way. So a privacy protocol with several magnitudes better than what Monero has. But it doesn't require any sort of trusted setup. So that means there's no secret parameters that you need to create and then destroy, which is what the first two protocols of Zcash had. And I think one of the really cool things is that it's designed to be modular, meaning that we can upgrade components without affecting the rest. So for example, right now we have anonymity set of 30 to 60 over 1,000 per transaction. But now that there's a better proof that can slot in, we can get that membership proof can go up to like 100 million, right? Which brings it kind of almost like, I guess, similar to something like what Zcash or Pirate Chain does, right? And I guess that's a big testament to show how flexible it is, and it also makes security analysis really easy because everything is kind of compartmentalized so that you can analyze them in isolation. The other thing that's really that is good that Monero still lacks is that it has a full view key support. So like with Monero, you only have incoming view keys, meaning that you can only give a view key that shows what comes in. You cannot show an outgoing view key. While with Firo, you can have all sorts of viewing keys. You get ingoing, outgoing. You can even say, I give someone the authorization to do the calculations for it, but not the spend authority. So I guess we have really flexible view key support and also very efficient multi-sig, which is really important for when you're looking at stuff like Torchain or decentralized DEXs, which rely on efficient multi-sig, which right now Monero doesn't do very well. So yeah, I think that's in a nutshell. Obviously, Spark addresses the height, sender, receiver. I mean, Spark addresses height, amount, the receiver, and soon you'll also hide asset type. And also another cool thing is that you can register an alias or like a Spark name to a Spark address, so that I can send an address to like at Ruben or at Crypto Rich, and it works like an email in the sense that yes, I know I'm sending to Ruben based on the alias, but I can't see which address he received it in, any other information. It's just like an email, right? I send an email, I don't get any information about what that person receives in his email, what he sends out. And that's what cryptocurrency addresses should be. So easy to send, easy to share, while protecting your privacy fully, just like an email address. Yeah.
Right. Okay, well, that's quite remarkable. Well, let's go through some of the other basics. What's the total supply? I understand it's proof of work and it has master nodes. What's the emission rate? Is it forever?
Right. So it does have. It used to be at 21.4 mil, but then the community introduced a tail emission that is equivalent to about around 1% per year, which keeps on dropping, obviously, as the supply increases. So it's technically infinite, but it's bounded, right? It's 1% per year, and it keeps on dropping, and eventually it'll trend to zero, but not quite reach zero. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And it's a proof of work that runs on GPU,
Yes.
not CPUs, but it
Yes,
also
that's
has
right.
nodes. And
Yes.
how does and people can mine it? Just talk us through that. But by the way, Ruben,
Yeah.
I forgot to say this.
Yeah.
If people want to check out this project, go to firo.org, FIRO.org, and then you can get to the website and find out all sorts of important and basic information. Sorry, please carry on, Ruben.
All right. So basically, we use a hybrid type of system where we have master nodes and miners. They both share part of the block reward, and the idea is that you have that kind of very like a way to obtain coins without KYC, just with your computer, with commodity hardware, and it's pretty resilient. They're having proof of work. But you also have that master nodes that give you the instant transactions, the finality, and the ability to protect against 51% attacks, because the master nodes, without going into too much detail, basically secure the network against reorganizations, and also any conflicting transactions. So it's almost like how we talk about two-factor authentication. I guess this is kind of similar to like two-layer protection. So I have to give credits to Dash that originally came out with this system, but obviously we adopted a lot of it to make it suit our privacy protocol. We don't have masternode voting, and as a conscious decision, we didn't think that people should have entrenched ability to continue to shape the protocol. So yeah, that's how the hybrid system works, and that means if you want to 51% attackers, you both have to compromise a significant proportion of the master nodes, which means you have to buy up a lot of coins, which pushes the price up and increases the cost of your attack. And then also, when you successfully attack, it's also affecting yours. So it has that benefit from proof of stake-ish, but it also has that means you also need to get enough hash rate and sustain that hash rate to do a 51% attack. So yeah. And I think that's really important. Like if you take a look at what Monero is happening now, I actually put out a recent video that Monero is actually looking at. They wouldn't call it a hybrid system; they're calling it a finality layer. But it is, if it is, I would say effectively a hybrid system. So even Monero is also considering it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a problem between Monero and I think Qubit.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah, where they tried to do a 51% attack on Monero. And what that is, if for people who don't know, is let's say there's 100 computers or GPUs that are checking the blockchain and doing all the consensus business. You can tell I'm very technical, Ruben. That they're what's the word? Doing all the transactions, updating the blockchain, and everything. And if one entity were to take control of 51 of those computers, then they're able to do what's called a double spend attack. They could spin off extra crypto and then go and cash them in. And it can be very, very expensive. It can destroy, a 51% attack can destroy a blockchain completely, because then they take those cryptos to another exchange, exchanging for Bitcoin or Litecoin or Ethereum, and then off they go.
Yeah, Firo suffered an attack.
Oh, really?
51, yes. I can't remember the exact date, but then it was just 1 week before we were enabling our hybrid system that would have prevented the attack completely. And I think the guy that attacked us, or guy or girl or it or whatever, rented a GPU farm with over like 50,000 GPUs to attack us. So it goes to show, when people really want to mess with you, yeah, 50,000 GPUs is a serious amount of computing power, and it goes to show that, yeah, proof of work. I mean, take a look at Cubic, right? It's not a very large coin, and yet they could threaten the security of a multi-billion-dollar privacy coin. So
Yeah,
yeah. Hmm.
yeah. That's very good. And then Firo obviously survived,
Yes, yeah.
and that person blew a lot of money. So it's being invested in a cryptocurrency that is resistant to 51% attacks is a really smart idea. And I know Firo is not the only privacy cryptocurrency that has this form of protection, but it's something that people need to consider for
Yeah,
all crypto.
and also the things that we've been around for a long time. In about maybe like 20 plus days, we're hitting our 9-year anniversary, which kind of shows like, hey, we're in it for the long term, and I think it shows our commitment to the project. Yeah.
That's also a very important point, because you haven't run off with a bag of
Yep.
Firo and then cashed it
Yep.
into Monero and then disappeared somewhere.
Yeah, which can be done because it's private, right? You can't even know when I run off.
That's right. But to your credit, but that's also really important, longevity in a cryptocurrency project, because I think it gives a project credibility and also surviving power. How come Bitcoin? One of the things that Bitcoin has in its favor, apart from the network effect, is that the blockchain is so robust because it's undergone so many attacks and assaults and corrections and updates, little bugs being corrected and everything, and it's still here. It is the most robust of all the cryptocurrencies going, but it isn't private.
I would argue that its robustness is going to be under threat in the next 5 to 10 years, mainly because of the fixed supply and the narrative that it can be sustained completely on fees. I think there's no evidence to suggest it. There's been several studies to show that just having the fee subsidy is not sufficient to maintain the security of a $1 trillion asset, right? So we'll see. My bet is that they will revisit it or find some way to add some other way to get around the 21 million, or maybe some other coin or whatnot. But I don't believe that they will just keep it like that, because I think the price cannot keep going up forever. So that's people can say, people, it has to double every 4 years. The price has to double every 4 years for that same mining like USD subsidy, right? But can it actually do that? I mean, so far it's been okay, but can it keep doing that? I don't know. Yeah.
Yes, because the miners got to keep getting the rewards. It's got to be worth their while to keep the blockchain up to date. Okay, which I suppose would be part of the reason why Firo has this tiny emission rate.
I think it's something that I would say that it's important to have what we call a base level of subsidy, like a block subsidy, to keep miners and the network functioning. And then yes, you can have fee level and thing, but just imagine you have an asset where the security varies based on its price and also the number of transactions that is being used. That means the less people use it, like just for a short period of time, let's say like, it's a bear market, people are not really transacting on Bitcoin. Then the security drops down. Like, what kind of security model is that, right? Like, that shouldn't be the case. So if no one transacts and then there's no fees, and then what? The miners just keep on mining, and it doesn't make economic sense. And in a way, I'm actually like, as much as I don't like Cubic, and I think obviously it was just a marketing stunt, it actually kind of like shakes people up to really think about, is pure proof of work the way to go, right? I'm not against proof of work, but I do feel that people have to be honest as to the limitations of proof of work, and especially, I mean, maybe Bitcoin's a little bit better because it has ASICs, right? So that means that if you attack the coin, then your ASICs also become worthless, while with Monero, if you attack it with your CPU power, if even if Monero collapses, my CPU still has value, right? So,
Yes.
it's a bit different there. I'm actually planning to make a quite detailed video on this because I think that's something that people should know more about. I mean, like, it's kind of shocking that even when the so-called 51% attack was happening on Monero, a lot of people didn't even know what a 51% attack was, or were calling it a successful 51% attack, and even like CoinDesk even got it wrong, right? So yeah, it goes to show like how little understanding in something that people should know like by heart now, right? It's been how many years since proof of work has been invented?
You do have the advantage of being full time in crypto and also being around since 2012.
Yeah, but then a crypto publication, CoinDesk, you're a
Yes.
crypto journalist.
Point.
There's no excuse, right?
There's no excuse, no. But then crypto publications, I suppose, are like non-crypto publications. They're full of all sorts of mistakes and disinformation and misinformation while they point their fingers at others.
Yeah.
Okay. What has Firo got coming up in the roadmap?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say something, but yeah. So
Oh,
basically, I think the number one thing that we're pushing to launch is something called Spark Assets, which again is the ERC20 version of privacy, right? Which means you can create your own token, for like a couple of Firo, and then basically, yeah, it's like an asset that you can make a meme coin, you can bridge stable coins over. So that is our number one focus, and the great thing is that when you are transacting with a Spark token, a Spark asset, right, on the blockchain, you can't even tell whether you are transferring Firo or some other asset. So that means that, yeah, okay, maybe let's say there's like, okay, 50,000 or 100,000 people using Firo, right? Now you have all these other coins. So if I make like a meme coin called Ruben coin, maybe there's only 10 people using it, right? But then because the asset type is hidden, I share in the same anonymity set as everyone else that uses Firo, right? So I think that's really powerful. It has all sorts of like really interesting use cases, and we also have a partnership with Confidential Layer, which will allow like tokens from other chains, such as like Solana or Ethereum and whatnot, to bridge those tokens over into Firo to gain that privacy, transact instantly and privately in a very, basically in a very quick way. And whenever they're done with it, if they want to get out, they can just bridge out and get their whatever their balance in the native coin that they deposited in. So I think that kind of changes what Firo is from just being a privacy coin to more like a privacy ecosystem.
Yes.
Which, yeah, so I think that's quite cool. Yeah.
Yes. So that would be like when you develop that I could say, for example, send Bitcoin through this bridge, it would somehow be wrapped in Firo, and then it'll be on the Firo blockchain, and it would be invisible.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, so you can wrap. I can wrap like USDT, USDC, right? And you can just transact with everyone else like instantly, right? So that's pretty cool. Like you can have a stable coin that's instant and private, right? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and then this bridge, I assume, I hope, would be fully decentralized, because that's a bit of a challenge with most bridges, that they're not decentralized.
I mean, I will say decentralization is a spectrum, right? And in the sense that even what Monero is looking at, something called Sarai, which obviously relies on validators holding a certain kind of stake, and the keys that hold the multi-sig to this Bitcoin or use stablecoin or Ethereum that you deposited in are spread out across the validators, and then all these validators they have to sign to actually kind of to release the funds and whatnot. So that means you would have to compromise a high number of the validators and also put your own stake at risk, right? Obviously, nothing is, even Bitcoin's not perfect, right? And even like mining is not perfect. There is always a threshold, but I would say it is secure enough, and it will only get more and more secure as more validators come on, right? So I guess that's what I would say on it. I don't want to say, oh yeah, it's completely decentralized. I don't even know what's completely decentralized nowadays, right?
Yes. Very good. Okay. Is there anything else you want to let us know about Firo? Anything else to cover?
I mean, right now, I mean, I see a lot of Arabic names. I mean, there's actually a community member that's been setting up a little Firo office in Syria, which I think is quite interesting. It's not something that obviously like, oh yeah, it's not an official part of the team, but he set up some like a office. He's been getting supermarkets and soon like a pharmacy to accept Firo. I think that's really cool. And if you want to take a look at the coin that has survived so many different types of attacks, from 51% attack, from a protocol flaw, from all sorts of things, from a angry investor, from Binance delisting. We've done it all, and we're still here kicking and getting stronger every time. So I think that we are the cockroach of privacy coins. So hopefully we remain that way.
Yeah, maybe we want to find a better creature metaphor than cockroach, right? But you're talking about its ability to survive and prevail.
Yes, that's right.
Well,
I mean, I think we've learned a lot, and we have very strong experience in dealing with challenges that come our way. So and we've been receiving a lot of like donations. There's this group called Power Up Privacy that's gave us like a couple of $100,000 for now to continue development. And I think that's and it's paid in Monero, so it's pretty heartening to see that the privacy community as a whole is very supportive of our work. And I think now that we're free from the clutches of Binance, we have a lot more free to develop privacy things, and we're actually seeing a lot of cool applications. Like people are building some sort of like workspace platform that uses Spark names as an authentication method. So I think it's quite interesting to see how people are going to use Firo, especially once it expands its token use case. So yeah, really excited on that.
Yes. Now, and if people want to find out, again, you can go to Firo, FIRO.org, or click on the icon for Firo if you're watching this, if you're live on the X Space now, and then you can follow and find out more, and make sure you're going through the proper official links so you don't end up on some phishing website. And also people can find out what exchanges that you are on. And I think the ones, I'm just looking right now on the website, which has got I think MEXC has got the largest liquidity.
Yes. So another really interesting thing is that we're actually also on Gate.io, but then due to some weird regulation, I think specifically French regulation, they have hidden it. So you have to directly go to the Gate.io link. HTX is also, you can't see it unless you log in. So these are all the kinds of crappy games that we have to play just to stay on these exchanges. Not that we are playing them; it's the exchanges that are doing this. But right now, actually, one of the favorite ways for me to swap Firo is through Wizard Swap, which supports our instant stand, supports our Spark addresses, so you can like swap from crypto to crypto almost instantly and in a private fashion. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh, I'll have a look at Wizard Swap. I didn't know about Wizard Swap. Let me see. So I think the problem with Gate.io and possibly HTX, I'm not sure about HTX, is you have to do KYC.
Yes,
which in
that's
a way
right.
defeats the whole thing about privacy, because as of January 2026,
yep,
KYC exchanges are going to be giving information on their users to relevant tax authorities. So, people who've used Kraken or Gate, Kraken and Gate will be sending user information to the authorities in the UK, the tax authorities. So I think it's in order to preserve our freedom, especially where there's a drive, certainly in the West, for CBDCs and digital IDs, we need to support and use non-KYC exchanges, peer-to-peer services, and also privacy cryptos like Firo. Anything you want to say about that, what I've just said?
Totally agree. I mean, I like Wizard Swap a lot just because it's easy to use, but we also have Firo Dex, which is based off the Komodo wallet, which I'm sure you're very well aware of, and that's an atomic swap based, order book based, decentralized exchange. So we see, I wouldn't say like we see a lot of usage, but when we see the usage, it happens like in huge surges. Like suddenly there's like 50 transactions a day, and then other days there's none. But if you want to get your Firo and it works directly through your browser, you don't have to install anything. You can give Firo decks a look. But otherwise, Wizard Swap is a great way to get some Firo privately, and you can get to see the instant transactions in play. And if you want to get a wallet that supports Firo and all the cool features, I would recommend actually using something like Stack Wallet or Campfire, which supports most of our features. They have the private transactions, they have the Spark names support, and they have the instant send support. So I think that's a great way, and it's a light wallet, so you don't have to sync the entire chain. So that's really cool. Yeah,
fabulous. And also, I noticed you're also on Edge, and Edge .app have been a guest on this X Space, and they are it's a wallet that's very supportive of privacy cryptocurrencies, and they don't
Paul's a great guy.
They don't give any data on who their clients and customers are, so do check that out. Okay, Ruben, anything you want to say before we finish up?
No. I mean, not particularly. I mean, I am going to be speaking at the eCash conference in the beginning of October, so that's quite cool in
where
Spain.
is that?
It's in Barcelona.
Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm actually also organizing a conference in my hometown also like in the first week of October as well. So I'm hopefully, because Firo actually has been building voting technology. So I don't want to make any speculation, but it's hopeful that we can kick off something on our election technology, because back in 2018, actually our blockchain was used by the Thai Democrat Party to have its own elections, and over 127,000 votes were casted on the blockchain in a private fashion back then, and I think it's probably one of the largest scales like elections that have happened on the blockchain, and especially on the public blockchain, in the sense not that it's public for everyone to see, but like it's not like a permission blockchain that's on Hyperledger or something like that. So maybe we'll see something. We're trying to get something working out in building blockchain election privacy preserving tech. So maybe there'll be something interesting coming up soon. Yeah.
Wow, that's very good. Just one thing I want to say about Firo and in its favor is, apart from the fact that you've endured a proof of work attack and survived, and you've been developing and developing and developing, you've also survived bear markets.
Yeah.
I think you survived at least 2 bear markets, which also
I don't know.
you're still around.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, But I think I don't know. We're coming up to 9 years now, so that's like 2.5 cycles, 2.5 bear market cycles. I don't know, but we're already used to building.
2018 bear market and the 2022 bear market, and we're on track for one next year. And I hope to see Firo prosper and endure. And Ruben, please, reach out to me if you want to come on my channel. And
Definitely,
look forward to following this project. And I recommend people do check it out. And it's been really great talking to you, Ruben. Thank you so much. And everybody, please follow Firo. Please follow the Coin Republic. Please follow me. And be a stand for privacy. This is Crypto Rich and the Coin Republic, and Ruben from Firo signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye.